Remember Octomom, the woman who gave birth to 8 babies back in 2009? Or Ashley Gardner? In 2014, she made news for having quadruplets, 2 sets of identical twin girls. Both moms had their babies thanks to in vitro fertilization, or IVF, a procedure that's used around the world to treat infertility. Their stories made headlines. But here's the thing, having 4 or more babies from IVF is extremely rare, whereas having 2 babies as a result of fertility treatment isn't. Multiple births are risky and even dangerous for moms and for babies, and in the long run, they end up costing parents and employers a lot of money. But it doesn't have to be this way. An IVF procedure called an ESET, or an elective single embryo transfer, exists that can greatly reduce the odds of having multiples. Yet, a large percentage of women opt against the option. Why? The answer is insurance coverage, or in this case, the lack of it. According to a 2017 study by Mercer, a healthcare consulting group, 56% of employers with more than 500 workers cover some type of fertility services, but it's usually limited to a consultation with a doctor. 26% cover in vitro fertilization. And of the 15 states that have a law regarding insurance coverage for fertility treatments, only 8 specifically require insurers to cover IVF. The result is that many Americans are left paying fully out of pocket, and the procedure isn't cheap. One IVF cycle, where a woman's eggs are extracted, fertilized in a laboratory, and then transferred back into the woman's uterus, costs $12,400 on average. This year, infertility was officially declared a disease by the American Medical Association. Dr. Richard Paulson, president of the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, says there's no reason infertility shouldn't be covered by insurance plans.
People do not choose to be infertile any more than they choose to have lung disease or heart disease or any of these other kinds of diseases, and it's not really preventable. Oh, you could say, well, you should have gotten pregnant when you were 30 instead of waiting until you're 40, but the same analogy would apply to people who smoke and then get lung cancer, or don't take good care of themselves and then get heart disease, or they overeat and then get diabetes. People do not choose disease, it happens to them, and it seems very unfair that this particular disease, the disease of infertility, is excluded from so much infertility coverage.
Patients who pay for IVF out of their own pocket end up weighing the costs of doing an ESET multiple times or a multiple embryo transfer, hopefully one time.
If you are somebody who's facing IVF and you have saved up $10,000 or $15,000, maybe you borrowed against a 401k or borrowed from family members, maybe you're feeling like that's your only chance, that one IVF cycle. That creates a lot of risk.
The risks for mothers include high chance of hypertension, high blood pressure, preeclampsia, gestational diabetes, high chance of hemorrhage or thromboembolism, high chance of cesarean section, and the risk for infants include low birth weight, prematurity, and sometimes developmental disabilities and longer-term health consequences.
A 2013 study says that the average healthcare expense of a singleton pregnancy is $21,000. But for twins, it's $105,000, and for triplets, it's over $400,000. In 2015, total lost productivity due to preterm babies is estimated to have cost $5.7 billion.
It turns out that paying for infertility care and controlling the number of embryos that are transferred would actually save money for the overall cost of medical care in the United States. The problem is getting started and getting over the hump and over the initial sort of energy that has to be expanded to make it happen.
So if multiples cost employers more in the long run, then why aren't companies paying for IVF from the start? One answer is that they're simply not educated on the topic.
When some of these self-insured companies are looking to build their benefit packages, oftentimes they're working with outside consultants. And I think that we as a field haven't done enough to equip them with data and information on this field on benefit design for IVF so that they're better able to advise their customers, their clients, which are the large companies and large employers.
Resolve, an infertility advocacy association, is also working with legislators to improve and increase infertility coverage across states. Studies show that in states that do not require insurance coverage for IVF, more embryos are transferred per cycle and there are higher rates of multiple births.
We know that insurance coverage makes a huge difference in people's decision-making and how they approach their IVF cycle.
Improved insurance coverage would help eliminate financial concerns from a critical medical decision, potentially reducing the high rate of multiple births. And it might just end up saving money for patients, employers, and the entire healthcare system.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.